are they, why are they relying on this? They could get a job, they could work.
Tonight, a new emergency declaration here in the West is offering some relief to families who've lost federal food assistance in the midst of the government shutdown. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. President Trump has agreed to partially fund the SNAP program following orders from 2 judges. It remains unclear, though, how long it's going to take for SNAP recipients to see their accounts replenished as the shutdown reaches day 34 with no end in sight. The Trump administration says it is planning to use contingency funds to pay for part of the SNAP food program. House Speaker Mike Johnson says those funds won't cover all of the costs, though, leaving families without the full benefit they usually depend on.
It's more complicated than that because, as you know, it cost over $9 billion to fund SNAP for a month, and we only have, I think it's $5.2 billion in the contingency fund. So you have a big shortfall. So it's not as easy as hitting go send on a computer. You got to go through and recalculate partial payments to the 42 million recipients of the program. That puts a huge burden on states and on the feds to try to figure that out in short order.
Tomorrow, the government shutdown will tie the record for the country's longest running shutdown in history at 35 days. Democrats insist a deal to get the government running once again must include an extension of expiring Obamacare subsidies to prevent skyrocketing health care premiums.
What I know so far is the Republicans have agreed to negotiate so far exactly 0 times. Donald Trump and the Republicans need to come to the negotiating table. We can sit down and talk, as has happened in every other government shutdown in the past. Sit down and talk, and then we can achieve a deal. That's how negotiations work.
And tonight, the ongoing pause in SNAP benefits because of the shutdown has prompted a new emergency declaration in Arizona. It was issued earlier today. Tonight, Fox 10's Ashley Rodriguez shows us what's being done to help families in Arizona's Gila River Indian community.
Gila River Indian Community Governor Stephen Roe Lewis announces an emergency declaration freeing up funds to provide a $1,000 stipend to households.
To get our members through the shutdown without missing meals or payments on electricity or other bills.
Nearly 42 million Americans receive food stamps, using up to nearly $1,000 a month to pay for groceries, and natives make up about a quarter of that number.
People ask, why are they relying on this? They could get a job, they could work, but growing up, knowing people who use it wisely.
According to Native American Connections, a nonprofit focused on affordable housing, cutting food stamps for even a month has a drastic ripple effect on households that have no room for emergencies.
Food insecurity is tied to housing instability. So we are very prepared now to see individuals who are going to choose between putting food on the table or paying their rent. We're very worried about this and the long-term effects. Individuals are going to lose their housing. Individuals are going to, because they have to choose what is their priority.
We're getting ready. We're getting a little bit nervous.
Native Americans Roxanne Wilson and Lauren Emerson are preparing to spend November doing what they can to help cover meals in their community.
Missing 1 month of rent could put you on the streets. 1 month of car payment could have you carless. And then missing that rent, and then you have no car and no apartment.
The two offering food giveaways by taking their Emerson Fry Bread food truck to locations throughout the valley.
So now more than any is the time to give back to everybody.
And that was Fox 10's Ashley Rodriguez reporting tonight. One organization in Utah is working to keep families fed while reducing food waste. Waste-Less Solutions connects those who have unused food with those who are in need. The organization focuses on education, prevention, and the diversion of edible food waste. It says roughly 600,000 tons of food goes into the trash every single year in Utah, and the organization is hoping that more businesses will sign up to donate and that more volunteers will help distribute in the middle of the current SNAP benefits pause. Well, tonight, airport staffing shortages because of the government shutdown have many airlines behind schedule across the country, and that includes many airports here in the West. This is a live look tonight at the situation at LAX, where dozens of flights have been delayed for a second straight day. Denver International and San Francisco International airports are also facing similar challenges. Before the shutdown began, airports were already dealing with a shortage of air traffic controllers. Now, many of those workers are calling out from work, causing flight delays across the country. Last week marked the first time that air traffic controllers were not paid during the shutdown. TSA employees have also been calling out instead of working without pay.
I think it's always risky when people don't get paid, and especially people that take care of our safety.
You want those people to be head on their A game every time TSA or air traffic control.
Yes, I'm concerned it should never happen again.
U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy expects travelers will see more flight disruptions the longer that air traffic controllers go without a paycheck. Well, voters in Washington state are among those making their voices heard on this election eve. King County in the Seattle area is encouraging people to drop off their ballots at a drop box by 8 p.m. tomorrow night. They say that is the best way to ensure their vote is counted in a timely way. Some people say they're concerned the government shutdown could affect how quickly ballots are received. The U.S. Postal Service has issued a statement saying its operations will not be affected by the shutdown, and they say all post offices remain open for business as usual.
Normally I mail it, but I just don't trust it anymore. The only thing that feels safe to me is to come down here and put it in.
We strongly recommend that every voter track their ballot until it's counted, and the best way to do that is by signing up for our ballot alerts, where you will get a text or email about where your ballot is in the process.
Officials say voters can still put their ballot in the mail as long as it's postmarked by tomorrow. Well, voting is underway in California in an election that could affect the balance of power in Congress moving forward. Fox's Amalia Roy shows us how supporters and opponents of Proposition 50 are getting the word out about this measure in the middle of the country's redistricting debate.
Democrats say Prop 50 is a necessary countermeasure to Texas and other Republican-led states redrawing their maps. Right now, state and local leaders here in California are in the final push to get people to the polls, including Governor Gavin Newsom, who spoke earlier today in San Francisco with Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi.
The essence of this moment, what Proposition 50 represents to those that have been bullied, to those that have been demeaned, to those that feel powerless, to those that are concerned about not only themselves but each other, our community, the city, our state, our nation, and for that matter, what we represent to the rest of the world. That's what Prop 50 represents.
A recent poll from UC Berkeley shows that 60% of likely voters support Prop 50, while 38% are against it and 2% are still undecided. Those against the measure say California already has an independent commission that they trust to draw its maps. And voters in rural areas say they're worried new representatives in these newly drawn districts would weaken their voices in Washington.
It really comes down to that rural representation. And if we don't have rural representation, then we lose those rural morals and our thought processes. And really, it's the agriculture industry in general is what you're trying to water down.
Prop 50 targets 5 Republican-held seats that Democrats hope to flip next year. It would stay in effect through 2030, after which the responsibility of drawing congressional maps would return to an independent commission. In Sacramento, California, Amalia Roy, Fox News.
And voters in at least 2 other states here in the West are being asked to weigh in on statewide ballot measures. In Washington, a constitutional amendment ballot measure asks voters whether funds from a long-term care insurance program should be invested in the stock market. Supporters say harnessing the growth potential from stock investments would secure the fund's long-term stability. Opponents, however, argue private investments offer no guarantees and market volatility could shrink that fund. In Colorado, a free school meals program will face a key test when voters decide 2 statewide ballot measures that would put the program on more sound financial footing, mostly by raising taxes on high-income residents. The outcome here will determine whether the Healthy School Meals for All program will continue to provide free breakfast and lunch for all Colorado public school students or be scaled back significantly. The strongest opposition to tax-related propositions over the years has come from traditionally Republican-leaning areas, while the strongest support has been in more Democratic voting areas. Private investments offer no guarantees, and market volatility could potentially shrink that fund. And you can head over to westcoastwrap.com to get more as we head toward Election Day tomorrow, our election coverage online. And obviously, we will have the very latest on the ongoing government shutdown. Our online coverage there includes a look at how the shutdown may affect the U.S. economy in the long term. Well, a new ruling has barred President Trump from deploying National Guard troops to Portland, at least until Friday. Judge Karen Immergut says she found no credible evidence that protests in the city grew out of control before the president's plan to send in troops. The judge says she will issue a final order on the lawsuit this Friday. Justice Department attorneys have suggested that Portland police officers are not doing enough to protect that ICE facility in Portland, and National Guard troops are needed to help keep the area safe. Coming up tonight on West Coast Wrap, a new report outlines what investigators have learned about January's Cybertruck explosion in Las Vegas. Tonight, what the Department of Defense is still keeping classified.
And weather, here's our live camera looking out toward the Golden Gate Bridge. We are tracking some rain for parts of the West Coast over the coming days, and we'll have the update coming up.
Also tonight, a massive celebration for the back-to-back World Series champions. See how hundreds of thousands of fans showed up to cheer on the Dodgers today. Today, hundreds of thousands of Dodgers fans line the streets of L.A. to celebrate their world champions. The Dodgers pulled out a World Series win against the Blue Jays on Saturday in a dramatic 11-inning game. The Dodgers are the first team in 25 years to win back-to-back World Series titles. The parade route ended at Dodger Stadium, where even more fans were on hand to celebrate. Dodgers star Shohei Ohtani addressed the crowd.
You guys are the greatest fans in the world. And then I'm ready to get another ring next year. Let's go.
Tickets for that stadium celebration, by the way, sold out last night. It was a packed house. All right, a new report is out detailing the findings of the police investigation into that New Year's Day explosion outside the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas. Las Vegas police have concluded that active duty soldier Matthew Livelsberger premeditated the blast involving a Cybertruck. They say the vehicle was packed with camping fuel containers, high-octane racing fuel, gasoline canisters, and commercial fireworks. Livelsberger died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound moments before the explosion. Several bystanders were injured in that blast. Investigators believe Livelsberger acted alone. They say they have tracked down his manifesto, but it has been deemed classified by Department of Defense officials. A Colorado judge has rejected the plea deal of a funeral home owner accused of stashing nearly 190 decaying bodies in a building. Carrie and John Halford had pleaded guilty to corpse abuse and fraud, but families said the proposed 15 to 20-year sentence was far too lenient. Both have now withdrawn their pleas, and trials are set for next year. Authorities say the couple also defrauded the government out of nearly $900,000 in pandemic-era aid while spending lavishly on cars, vacations, and jewelry. New Mexico has become the first state in the country to guarantee free child care for all families, regardless of income. The new program took effect Saturday, and it's expected to save families about $12,000 per child each year. It will be paid for with money the state has been setting aside for early childhood education. That money is coming from surplus government income linked to surging oil and gas production. To meet increased demand, Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham expects the state will need more than 50 new licensed child care centers. Turning now to talk about our weather here in the West, and the work week is getting started with rain in the Pacific Northwest. Here's the live look tonight at Seattle SeaTac Airport here, where it's been raining for most of the day. Storms are also moving across some parts of Oregon as well. For more, let's bring in KTVU's chief meteorologist Mark Tamayo, who is tracking the wet weather and the conditions across the West. Hey, Mark.
Hi there, Alex. Yeah, the atmospheric river will definitely impact parts of the West Coast over the next few days. As far as rainfall totals over the past 2 days, you can see see those amounts adding up in parts of the Pacific Northwest. You can see Florence, Oregon, 0.72, Olympia, Washington, nearly a half an inch of rainfall, Portland, 0.31, and Seattle, just over a tenth of an inch of rainfall. But here's what's happening. As you can see, an atmospheric river really focused up in the Pacific Northwest, also targeting portions of Northern California. So that's going to be happening over the next several days. As far as the rainfall projections, you can see these numbers really going up for a place like Portland, up in Northern California, right around Eureka, and then Seattle getting into the action as well. And then eventually San Francisco. The target time for the Bay Area will be Wednesday morning. Now, we actually have, these are actually coastal flood advisories out, as you can see, for all these areas in green, because we have these king tides we're dealing with in addition to the rainfall. As we check out the satellite and the radar, here's this cloud band kind of draped over the Pacific Northwest. Upstream, the flow is the next system that'll kind of reinforce the rainfall as we head into a Tuesday night and into a Wednesday. But here's some of the coverage right now for Portland and Seattle, and of course the higher peaks picking up some snowfall, but it's mainly a warmer system, so we're not talking about any low elevation snow. This was Seattle today. Lots of cloud cover, a cool day with temperatures in the upper 40s. In San Francisco, temperatures in the lower 60s with partly cloudy skies. And then in Phoenix, we've been talking so much about the cloud cover, the rainfall. You can see a nice day there. Temperatures in the upper 80s, right around 89 degrees. As we check out the current numbers out there, right now it's 77 degrees. This is a leftover icon from the Halloween forecast, but it's not Halloween anymore, but we're showing you some cool conditions for Portland and Seattle. And here is the game plan for tomorrow. An incoming storm for Seattle, especially later in the day. We'll show you the timing in a bit. Some clouds for the Bay Area, clearing skies for Southern California. A nice warm day for Phoenix and a nice forecast out toward the Denver area. So here is the Fox weather model picking up on the cloud cover and the rainfall. This is Tuesday morning, 9 o'clock. We're watching this band up in Northern California. And then later in the day, especially by Tuesday evening, those rainfall rates could be picking up for Medford, Portland, Seattle. And then this system eventually wants to swing into Northern California. So this will be a rain producer for the Bay Area first thing Wednesday morning with rain and wind. We have wind advisories posted and also the possibility of some thunderstorms. So here's the game plan over the next few days. Rainfall developing later in the day on Tuesday. We'll have increasing clouds throughout the day. Looks like a wet forecast for Wednesday and into Thursday. For the Bay Area, there's that rain cloud for Wednesday. Los Angeles, Southern California. A nice day for tomorrow. Maybe a few extra clouds by Wednesday and Thursday. And if you want the warming temperatures, we're looking pretty good out toward Phoenix. Close to 90 degrees for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Yeah, still pretty warm out there in the desert.
Yeah.
Okay, Mark, thank you. Well, members of the Los Angeles Fire Department arrived in Jamaica today to help with relief efforts in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. The 34-member team, along with 4 canines, will be assisting in search and recovery efforts. 3 U.S. helicopters will help to get supplies to those in need. Each is capable of carrying up to 11,000 tons of aid. The hurricane has caused severe damage to the nation's critical fishing and farming communities.
Understand the frustration, we understand the anxiety and the suffering from a catastrophic hurricane category 5, and we just want to say we understand and we definitely are doing everything in our power to respond as quickly as possible.
The destruction comes just 15 months after Hurricane Beryl impacted tens of thousands of farmers and fishers, causing about $29 million in damage. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, Super Bowl organizers in the Bay Area rolling out plans to dazzle the crowds with more than just the big game itself. Tonight, the event's planned near Levi's Stadium. Also, see what happens when a Vietnam veteran here in the West goes on an unforgettable flight. In tonight's NFC West update, the Arizona Cardinals' Monday Night Football matchup against the Cowboys has the potential to shake up the NFC West rankings. The team posted a preview of the game on X. If the Cardinals win tonight, the Seattle Seahawks would move from first to second place in the division with a 6-2 record. The LA Rams would take the number 1 spot with the same record. The 49ers would remain in 3rd place and the Cardinals in 4th place. That Monday Night Football game is underway right now in Dallas. Well, tonight we're getting a better idea about how Super Bowl 60 festivities will be playing out in the Bay Area early next year. The NFL and the Bay Area Host Committee announced the venues for the various events today. Levi's Stadium, of course, will host the Super Bowl itself on February 8th, 2026. Super Bowl's opening night will be held at the nearby San Jose Convention Center, and the Super Bowl fan experience, along with the Pro Bowl flag football game, will take place in San Francisco at the Moscone Center. The NFL honors ceremony will take place at the Palace of Fine Arts.
I know that the city is really excited. I think they're planning for some fun things around kind of a shared stage environment and all the kind of bells and whistles that they typically bring to these events. And so, it should be really good.
Super Bowl 60 events are set to take place beginning on Monday, February 2nd, and running all the way up until Super Bowl Sunday. Well, we hear a lot about blood shortages across the West. Tonight, Fox 10's Dominique Newland reports that pets need blood donations as well.
You know, we cover the people blood drives all the time, all the good it does, giving back. But our pets, it's so important as well to have this opportunity, this source for them, because they go through surgery and a bunch of other things where they need it as well. So we're at Rise Veterinary Center in Queen Creek this morning. I have Jenna here to tell us more. We're kind of in an operating room, I guess I could say, Jenna. This is something you guys do weekly, right?
Yep. So we bring donors in almost every single day just to be able to provide our blood stock. We actually share throughout the valley to our other sister hospitals as well. So we get to save lives pretty much throughout the valley, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. We're watching this. I know it might look a little scary, intimidating, but completely safe. Getting a good cat nap, no pun intended, right now for this cat here that we're seeing. What have you guys been noticing? Is there a need right now for cat blood, dog blood? What's it looking like?
So there's always a need for cat and dog blood. Cat specifically, there is a lower product in the valley with them, so getting more cat donors in is always super helpful. We love this process to be very safe, very relaxing for them, so we do have this cat's owner here, Madison. She is a technician in the field, so she understands the importance of the blood transfusions and the blood donations themselves.
Absolutely. Are appointments recommended? What's the best practice for that?
Yeah, we do recommend appointments. If you go to our website on Arise Vet Center, you will see an appointment slot to get your pet scheduled, and we'll do the exam, we'll do the screenings, and then for cats specifically, we'll do the echocardiograms for them.
Okay, great. Sounds good. All right, I'll send it back to you guys.
That was Fox 10's Dominique Newland reporting tonight from Arizona. Finally, tonight, a Vietnam veteran took to the skies in a historic World War II era biplane. Ted Gross was in the cockpit on Sunday at Falcon Field in Mesa, Arizona. He says the flight was a welcome escape and an opportunity to simply enjoy the moment.
You're up there, you forget about everything that bad has gone on in your life, basically. I was in Vietnam, so when I go up in Amazing Grace 2 today, I didn't think about any of that. It was just up there soaring like an eagle, if you will.
Sounds pretty good. The ride was made possible by Grounded No More. That's a nonprofit that gives veterans the chance to fly in vintage military aircraft. Quite the flight there. That does it for West Coast Wrap tonight. We appreciate you watching as always. Have a great night.